And yeah, then we can move on to Frits Ogg, who is our quite old friend from Folkecenter. He's an author from the Netherlands and also worked as a guest lecturer and investigative journalist and consultant of energy-related topics. And now he's also the co-chair of the World Wind Energy Association of Small Wind, together with Mike Bergley. So yeah, he will tell us a little bit more about the market for medium-sized wind turbines.
Okay. I have to share my screen.
And for those who don't know Folkecenter, the picture that he has on the back, it's our test center.
Yes.
Okay. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
That's it?
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, that's okay now. Okay. First of all, I have to admit it's some what older presentation, but most of it is still actual. It's based on research from let's say 5-6 years ago. And originally it was for a presentation of 45 minutes, so some slides I will go through very fast. Well, it was at that time the question, what about market for medium wind turbines? So I'm going to tell about why medium wind turbines, the research after manufacturers, what markets there are, what's really a medium size, smart wind turbines, and retrofit. That's what I'm going to say. Why focus on medium wind turbines? There are a lot of diesel aggregates in rural areas in the world, and we have at a lot of places a potential of wind, but it's rural, so no room for big megawatt, multi-megawatt wind turbines. One of the most important things of this presentation is that 90% onshore land surface is rural. Only with 50% of the world populations, only 10% is urbanized. And for urbanized areas, we need a lot of energy and multi-megawatt wind turbines. But rural has a weak grid or no grid, so we have to give rural areas small and medium wind turbines. Could give a contribution to water supply and water purifications. There are opportunities with 100 kilowatt to 1 megawatt wind turbines for rural communities. Multi-megawatt turbines and megawatt turbines give some logistical problems. Some islands you have to get the tower on the ferry, for instance. And there is a progressive energy demand in telecom. At that time, I made an overview. It's outdated now. Folkecenter has his small wind catalog, and that is online updated. So I go now to the next slide, because this is the only thing is about 350 small wind turbines manufacturers worldwide. There are 70 medium wind turbines manufacturers worldwide, and 5 manufacturers of the bigger medium wind turbines. There are a lot of markets for medium wind. We have no grid areas. We have bad grid areas where not 24/7 electricity is provided. Then a lot of places also there's still diesel and especially wind We have islands who have problems with fuel transportation costs. There are places for wind turbines and mining, and then I don't think not for oil, but more all the stuff we need to manufacture all our gauges. We can use it for desalination, for hydrogen production. I will say more about that later. For weak grids, to strengthen weak grids. We can use it as part of distributed energy, like New York is planning after Hurricane Sandy. They have a smaller nuisance circle, especially important for shadow and noise. Then there's a rise of telecom worldwide, and we are growing from 1 to 4 million base stations for mobile phone. And the GSMA, the GSM Association, the Association for Mobile Phone Worldwide, had 6 years ago research and estimated about 200,000 communities worldwide that could use wind as energy for the GSM base stations. Then we have a lot of communities at the end of the line, but there is a technical cap. I will say more about that later, of 300 kilowatt. We have national parks and sensitive habitat like the island of St. Helena, which fears an oil spill risk when they get the oil for their diesel generators. It could be used as heating support for distributed heat, like they use the surplus of electricity in Denmark. We have to use it for difficult to reach sites with small wind turbines on the top of mountains. Enercon has an example of 12 turbines of 900 kilowatt because of logistics. On this island, they couldn't get a crane to get bigger turbines there. Then for emergency power with disasters, and then it's also with military and festivals. And then in hurricane areas, because the turbine or the rotor can lower it. Oh. Well, there are a lot of definitions of medium-sized wind turbines, and nearly every country has its own definition. And that's why I suggested at that time another classification. Call it small, and don't see this exactly. It's a range. So small can be 10 watt and 10 kilowatt, but till 10 kilowatt. Medium is then, let's say, 10 kilowatt to 100 kilowatt, but 110 kilowatt is also good. So it's a range. Then turbines become bigger, like we had in the 90s, for the last century. Then we have a range from 100 to 300 kilowatt. And then bigger medium turbines can be 300 to 1 megawatt. So don't fix on the generator power. So if we focus on safety of the reliability, the performance, references and return on investment, then we can categorize wind turbines within a range of generator output and rotor diameters, but make the categorization within a range of generator output. That's my message. Then we also don't have marketing size. When, for instance, a country has a feed-in tariff for 60 kilowatt, then a lot of manufacturers have a new nameplate on their wind turbine from 80 kilowatt, and they make a new nameplate for 60 kilowatt. So it's not necessary if you have a range. And also, governments try to get it fitted in rules, but use a range. There's also what I encountered in my own country, when you then say, okay, but you have a certain size of rotor diameter, then you have the problem that a rotor diameter on the coast can be smaller than rotor diameter in the inland. In the inland, you need a bigger rotor diameter for the same wind turbine. Well, next year's, at that time, as I wrote, next year's market will turn up with overviews of references and proven unique selling points of different concepts and claims of manufacturers. Well, at the end of this day, Paul Guyp will come with an overview. He's doing good work. We have a lot of manufacturers that cause problems, that are selling a project that's not out-developed. Then the technical split at 300 kilowatt, because technically in a weak or small grid, that's more or less the border to feed in without any measures. And if you have medium classified under 1 megawatt, you have a split on 300 kilowatt from 100 to 300 and from 300 to 1000 kilowatt. Another point is we have a lot of farms that need just a little bit more than households. So, but it's really not a small turbine. So classified is also as medium. Every turbine has its market. Even the DC watt turbines, the very small turbines. I think small wind turbines will always be an umbrella term. Well, if you use the international system for prefix, we have to call medium wind turbines below 10 kilowatt just as a wind turbine. If you look at micro wind turbines, which small wind turbines sometimes are called, they have in the prefix system, international prefix system, a generator that's very, very low. Normally you can feed in wind in a weak grid without a problem for 30%. If you're going above these 30%, and sure with 100%, you need energy management. And that means that your turbine has to get smart. And you have to, if you have too much wind at some moment, you have to supply to accommodate supply and demand. That's done by SCADA, and SCADA is a computer that rules over all the smartness in the grid. Within a few years, there's nowhere in the world a traditional macro or micro electricity grid. Every grid will become smart. A lot of PV is installed worldwide, so wind is a very good companion for solar, but you have to balance it with storage. And we have some places, what I call an organic growth, a very big growth, so supply and demand are out of balance. We have to add storage, and at least for the switches between renewable energy and diesel at some islands. We have to make the manufacturers aware of this development, because a lot of medium wind turbines that are on the market are still not smart. So when you have too much wind feed in a grid, they have to be smart. And again, the GSM Association said in their report a few years ago that there are 200,000 community power projects possible. Well, medium turbines. We have some manufacturers that have already smart medium turbines, but we have also a lot of, let's say, medium turbines that have an age of, let's say, 20, 25 years, and they are undergoing now a retrofit and can have a smart controller. Realize that 25 years we had other computers, other software than nowadays. This is an overview of refurbishment, but it's an older overview, and I don't know if all the links still are valid. Well, one of a nice application is wind energy, the wind energy solutions application at the island of St. Helena. The island has an average use of 600 kilowatt, and they have now 12 80 kilowatt turbines, and sometimes these wind turbines on the island produce more electricity than the 600 kilowatt. At such a time, the energy first is used to overtake the idle running of the diesels. The generator is then used as a motor to get the diesel still running, and that saves diesel, but that means also that the diesel is running in case the wind is lowering, and the diesel can go on running. This one I like to see on this slide. I think it's interesting because Vernier, it's a French wind turbine. It's the biggest one who can put up without a crane. and it's 275 kilowatts. This one on the left, that's a Vestas V27, and it's used by ITM Power for producing hydrogen, and they have also a fueling station. It's now in use for several years. There's a lot to do about hydrogen.
Fire up that link, David.
And I think there's a lot of opposition against hydrogen. I think it's good also to show these examples, because people are scared that the BPs and the Shells of this world will get a new monopoly on hydrogen. But hydrogen can be generated locally. We don't need the Shells and the big companies to use hydrogen. On the right side is a picture why medium wind has less logistic problems. Well, some links. And that's what I wanted to say. I hope I didn't make it too fast.
That was actually perfect on time. Thanks a lot, Frits. Are there any quick questions? If the questions are longer, I think Frits, you will stay on the whole session, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because our next speaker, it's actually running between two classes, so he made us the pleasure to be with us despite his work obligations. So if it's okay, we could take some questions to you a little later.
Okay.
You'll be fine?
Yeah.
Thanks. So if you can stop sharing the screen, then